Let's start by looking at this historical photograph of a sugarcane field. Every plant you see here is virtually identical, but compare that crop to any crowded city street, and you immediately see enormous variation in human populations. Look at this microscopic cluster of rod-shaped bacteria. When a single bacterium divides, the two resulting cells are near-perfect clones of the original. The only microscopic differences between them come from tiny, accidental inaccuracies during DNA copying. Animals and humans don't rely on those tiny copying errors. We reproduce sexually, a deliberate mechanism engineered to mix genetic material and maximize the physical differences between individuals. Curious, but here is the catch. If a child inherits exactly equal amounts of genetic material from a mother and a father, why don't they look like a perfect 50-50 split of those two parents? You never see someone with a perfectly blended average face. Because traits don't dilute like mix the paint, nature has to use a strict physical rulebook for combining that information. To figure out those rules, we have to look at 19th century garden peas. Notice these distinct white flowers and green pods. Peas possess clear, contrasting characteristics, making them perfect subjects for tracking how physical traits are passed down through generations. Gregor Mendel tracked this inheritance by taking a pure tall plant and manually breeding it with a pure short plant, meticulously counting exactly what the offspring looked like. This diagram shows the result of that cross. The first generation produced 0 medium-height plants. Every single offspring was tall. The short trait didn't vanish, it was simply masked. We call the visible trait dominant and the hidden one recessive. But when Mendel bred that first generation together, 1/4 of the new plants were short. That hidden shortness survived completely intact. This proved that traits are passed down as independent packets of information, not fluids that permanently mix together. Genetic information behaves like distinct mathematical building blocks. They can be masked for an entire generation and revealed later, but they never dilute. To find out where those distinct building blocks actually live, we have to look inside the interior of a single cell. This diagram illustrates chromosomes, the physical pieces of inherited DNA. Most cells contain paired sets of these chromosomes, one half inherited from the mother and the other half from the father. To reproduce, the body creates specialized germ cells. During this process, the paired chromosomes separate, ensuring that each new germ cell carries exactly one half of the total genetic code. When two half-filled germ cells combine during fertilization, they restore a full set of instructions. This guarantees the offspring gets a uniquely scrambled mix of DNA while keeping the total number of chromosomes completely stable for the species. So how does a dominant genetic packet physically overpower a recessive one inside the body? Look at this animated segment of DNA, which we call a gene. A gene is essentially an instruction manual that tells the cell how to build a specific protein, like an enzyme. In the dominant pathway, the gene creates a highly efficient enzyme. This enzyme pumps out massive amounts of growth hormone, pushing the plant's physical structure rapidly upward to make it tall. Contrast that with the recessive pathway. Here, an altered manual creates a sluggish enzyme. It produces only a small trickle of hormone, resulting in a physically short plant. Biological dominance isn't magic, it is purely a matter of chemical manufacturing. Whichever gene runs the most efficient assembly line dictates the final physical outcome. We can see these exact sorting rules operate in real time when you look at human reproduction. This chart displays human DNA, organized into 22 perfect pairs of chromosomes. But notice this final set. It is one uniquely mismatched pair, the sex chromosomes, labeled X and Y. Females carry 2 X chromosomes, while males carry an X and a Y. Because a mother will always pass down an X, the biological sex of an infant depends entirely on the father. If his single contributed germ cell carries an X, the child will be a girl. If it carries a Y, the child will be a boy. Sex determination is a continuous, perfectly balanced biological coin flip driven by the exact same chromosomal rules discovered in garden peas. The internal mechanics of inheritance ultimately meet the harsh realities of the external environment. Whether it is a human child inheriting a sex chromosome or a single bacterium copying its DNA, these variations determine an organism's chance of survival. Consider a heat wave. If a specific genetic variation allows a bacterium to withstand higher temperatures, that individual survives to reproduce, while its neighbors perish. Environmental factors select these successful variants, forming the basis of the evolutionary process. These rules of inheritance provide the diversity required for life to persist. By ensuring every generation possesses a unique range of traits, the machinery of heredity creates the variations necessary for a species to adapt as the world changes around it.